ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
We'll take you behind the scenes of the Beef Culinary Center, and we'll get an up-close look at what the culinary team does on a day-to-day basis to help build beef demand.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. We're coming to you today from the Beef Culinary Center right here in Denver, Colorado. Located within the offices of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the team of professionals who work here each day help to keep beef and beef recipes front and center, especially with our consumers. Today, we'll spend some time learning more about what happens here and how it benefits beef producers like you and I. To begin, we turn to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter for this report on the recently expanded Culinary Center.
Just a couple of years ago, an expansion doubled the size of the testing kitchens at the Denver office of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Now, the Beef Culinary Center features new equipment, expanding the opportunity to test and perfect a wide variety of beef recipes.
We recently went through and actually changed out one of our former executive boardrooms and opened it up, as you can see behind me, into our testing kitchen. So we've been able to expand what was 3 testing ranges into now 4 pods. So our testing development area can now go into full swing and test a lot more recipes in less time. What we look at is actually what is most popular in the consumer's household. So we're looking to test on all the recipes on those ranges so that we can minimize the amount of error that the consumer might have based on what range they're using, so that we can hopefully give them the best eating experience with beef.
Recipe testing and development ensures that all the beef recipes featured on beefitswhatsfordinner.com and in beef advertising are delicious and easy for consumers to make at home.
All our recipes are usually at least triple tested. We have 2 gas ranges, an electric flat top, and an electric coil range. So we try to cover all realms of ranges that consumers might have to hopefully help them be successful.
The Checkoff-funded Beef Culinary team also develops recipes to provide valuable resources, such as the Confident Cooking with Beef pamphlet. It's full of information on choosing, storing, and preparing beef.
Confident Cooking with Beef is a really great tool. I like to call it the Beef Bible. It has everything from how to shop for beef, how to store beef, and then every cooking method. So it really is a guide for the consumers to be able to have a successful beef eating experience. And so, I think it's very important for us to continue to be able to test recipes and develop recipes. This facility is wonderful in the fact that we're able to take the time to be able to expand and test a recipe more than once. I really truly feel like we are a great support for and voice for beef. What we do is try to help and educate as much as possible and get beef on the tables.
Beyond the consumer focus, the commercial kitchen facilities at the Beef Culinary Center allow the professionals here to provide a wide variety of product development, recipe testing, and resources for food service companies interested in learning the latest about beef cuts and menu trends. I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
And joining us now to talk in more detail about building beef demand is Mike Miller, Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Research. Mike, tell us just a little bit about your responsibilities on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I've got about 50 or 55 people that work in research, promotion, consumer information, and industry information each and every day on behalf of the Beef Checkoff. Trying to keep beef top of mind with consumers, top of mind with retailers and food service operators. So working across a whole host of areas that really help demonstrate beef's worth and beef's value to today's consumers.
And the culinary team is just one of those teams that you mentioned, but why is their work so important, do you think?
Well, again, keeping beef top of mind. This is a group of people that really work each and every day to try to find new and innovative ways to keep beef on the top of the recipe list. So they do an awful lot of work across a whole host of different areas, but really their primary job each and every day is to try to find new and innovative ways, creative ways to help consumers choose beef more often.
And tell us maybe a couple of examples or some specifics about how specifically the work that gets done here generates more beef demand.
Well, there's probably a couple of different things. You know, first and foremost is recipe development. So we've got a number of folks that look an awful lot of market-related research, look at kind of food industry trends, and then try to take a lot of different and various beef cuts and try to put those into kind of today's recipe development, if you will. So we do an awful lot of research and development as it relates to recipes, which is just kind of a constant job. It's something that they're trying to do, you know, each and every day that they're here. And we're also looking at innovative ways to prepare beef. Some of the work that we've done here recently, believe it or not, is all around frozen ground beef. How do you get frozen ground beef to the table more quickly, more easy? So it's just an awful lot of work that they do each and every day, trying to help consumers be able to choose beef more often and in probably a little more convenient manner.
As you know, Mike, every producer has his or her own opinion about how beef checkoff dollars should be spent. What do you say to the producer who says, is this a really good use of our checkoff dollars?
Well, it's a good question. All those are good questions. I think that the thing to keep in mind with today's consumers is they've got a lot of questions. We try to answer those questions in a number of different ways. This group of people that work in our culinary center try to answer questions related to how to prepare beef. What kind of recipe can I use this beef item that I just purchased at the retail store? How can I utilize that? And how do I fit beef into a healthful diet each and every day? So this group plays a primary role in making sure that we have answers for consumers. And that's really, it kind of goes across all of the different areas that I work with, is going to those questions and trying to find answers for consumers when they have them.
Mike, we've seen record high retail beef prices, but frankly record high profitability this last year for many segments of the beef industry. What do you see ahead for the beef demand?
Well, I think we're in really good shape, Kevin. I think that we certainly have enjoyed a nice run in beef demand the last several years. Retail beef prices, wholesale beef prices again, cattle prices at record high levels. So I think everybody throughout the chain is doing relatively well. I think that our continued challenge that is in front of us today, probably be there tomorrow, is just to continue to innovate, continue to have those research and development items and issues that are there for consumers. I'm excited about the work that this team does and the rest of the team does, and so I think that we're up for the challenge, and certainly the good work that producers do back home to make sure that we're providing that healthful and wholesome product each and every day for not only U.S. consumers, but consumers around the world.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing a few minutes with us today.
Absolutely.
Still ahead on this special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll have more on the Culinary Center and all the ways they work to ensure you have a quality beef eating experience. And we head into the kitchen to show you how easy it is to prepare a delicious beef meal. Don't go away, we'll have more right after this.
You're watching NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman on RFD TV.
Say this is a calf that's been run through the chute a few too many times. Going through the chute stresses cattle, causing them not to eat like they should. Luckily, Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ provides proven protection against key respiratory diseases in a single shot, with just one trip through the chute. Talk to your veterinarian about Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, and soon your calves will relax and eat like a whole different animal.
There are many great reasons to join NCBA, and that includes exclusive NCBA member-only discounts, such as savings on new equipment purchases from New Holland.
Hi, I'm Mike Corman with New Holland Agriculture, and I'm pleased here to talk about our New Holland member benefits to the National Cattlemen's and Beef Association members. New Holland offers special benefits to NCBA members where they can save up to $1,000 off the purchase of a New Holland equipment. Members can save off the purchase of New Holland hay and forage and mid-range tractors, as well as other products We have New Holland dealers located throughout the United States. Stop into your New Holland dealer and learn more. New Holland and NCBA, smart partners for agriculture.
Savings on equipment purchases from New Holland is just one of the fantastic deals you get as an NCBA member. Don't miss out. Join NCBA today at beefusa.org.
Saddle up and make your way to Denver, Colorado for the 2015 Cattle Industry Summer Conference. This is your chance to meet with industry leadership and your fellow cattlemen and women to stay up to date on beef industry trends and policies. Registered attendees will also have access to hot topics at the Issues Forums. Mark your calendar for the 2015 Cattle Industry Summer Conference, July 15th through 18th in Denver, Colorado. Find out more at beefusa.org.
Welcome back to this special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, focusing on the Beef Culinary Center and how it works to ensure the long-term success and sustainability of the beef industry. Here to tell us more about this center is Laura Hagan, the Senior Director of Culinary. Laura, thanks for coming to the show and inviting us into your kitchen here.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
You know, a lot of people who haven't been in NCBA headquarters may be surprised at the sheer expanse and scope of this kitchen. Tell us about the goal of the Culinary Center.
Yeah, well, the goal of the Culinary Center is really to showcase beef. I mean, that is the big thing that we do here. And that can be done through food production. It can be also done on our consumer side through recipe testing and putting those recipes out for consumers to use. So showcasing beef, really, really important that we showcase new cuts, new recipes, and really just new ways to work with beef to not only people who work here in the building, but outsiders and our guests that come inside.
As I look around, I see a lot of tools and technologies, some of which are very familiar and some of which I've never seen before. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, well, I alluded a little bit to a consumer and a commercial side. So on this side, kind of over here, we have a kind of plethora of commercial appliances that are really available for anyone to use. So we like to think about maybe partnering with companies who might want to utilize some of these equipments to do some testing or anything with something that they might be wanting to do on a menu or something like that. The consumer side, of course, is our testing process, and so that is creating new recipes for consumers and solely for consumers and for retail customers who potentially want to use those recipes in their near the retail meat case.
And you mentioned that you do create and test recipes in here, and I've been fortunate enough to be one of those testers in some meetings that you've created some wonderful, wonderful dishes. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, well, the process is pretty simple, but it's also very complicated. So it's kind of one of those things where we get a very easy concept, something that we want to create. We might get the directive to say, hey, let's create a bunch of really high protein recipes for breakfast. Something we're working on right now is actually some breakfast recipes because we want to make sure that people eat some beef for breakfast as well. Right. So the beef for breakfast recipes, those concepts come to us, and then we kind of walk away and say, it'd be interesting if we did this, it'd be interesting if we did this, and kind of find some ideas that we think maybe have some legs and we can actually move those forward. We then call in some of our testers. We have 4 testers on staff who are all chefs. They come in, do the testing, and then as a group, really the culinary department as well as our beef innovations group comes inside and they get to sample and give feedback. So if we think a option is viable, then we continue moving it forward through the testing process. We always test a recipe at least 3 times, so we call it our triple tested process. I can guarantee you that a lot of those will go even longer than that because we're very picky about the end result. But once that happens, we go into editing. We go and take a professional photograph of the recipe so that we can really sell it with that visual, and it goes on beefitswhatsfordinner.com so that they're available to consumers in states for outreach. And for doing them at home. And
you mentioned outreach and beefitswhatsfordinner.com. That's an important part of your mission, right? Because it does absolutely no good to create great recipes if nobody knows where to go to find them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of why the process is so big for us, is that if a consumer does find our recipes, we want to make sure they're successful with them. Really difficult right now, sometimes people don't know what to purchase. So they walk into the meat case and they maybe pick a cut, and if they don't have guidance, it's really difficult. They might not have success. So what we are able to do is give them kind of that guide. Here, you've bought this cut, cook it this way, use these elements and these ingredients that will really help enhance it, and you've got a meal for your family, and you'll be successful in your cooking experience. So.
Give us your sense of your vision for the future of the Culinary Center. What do you see in the future?
Well, like I said, we've got a commercial and a consumer side. I'd really like to utilize both of them equally. We do a lot of food production on the commercial side, but I would like to bring some partners in to really start using some of this equipment and getting to know it better. We are able to give consumers a ton of educational information, but not as much on the food service side because we're not doing food service recipes on an ongoing basis. So utilizing this equipment and knowing what they have in their restaurants will help us provide them with inspiration and ideas beyond what we already do. And I think it would be fun just in general to forge those relationships. And I think on the consumer side, it's really educating consumers. So if we can get some people in here to do cooking education programs and that type of thing, I think that would be a lot of fun and have a big impact.
Well, whenever you need an extra tester, you give me a
You
call,
got it.
all right?
You got it. Absolutely.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
If you want to find out more about the Beef Culinary Center and the entire Beef Innovations Group, just visit the website beefinnovationsgroup.com. We're not done talking about the Culinary Center. Up next, we'll share some useful tips on how to properly thaw ground beef in a flash. Stay with us.
New Holland is the undisputed leader in hay tools. We give farmers a wide range of innovative equipment that increases efficiency and productivity all year round. Because to us, smart means providing a smooth, clean cut with faster dry down, plug-free conditioning, and superior bale density. And smart means leaving less hay on the field to feed more livestock in less time. The gold standard has been raised. Visit nhfirstcut.com for a chance to win a 1-year-round baler lease.
Once upon a time, before backpacks came with rollers and games were canceled due to rain, everyone drank their no-whip, black as a miner's day coffee out of cast iron pots. We didn't cook our meat with self-igniting charcoal. Companies didn't hire praise teams to make sure we got enough pats on the back. You had to earn them. Thankfully, there are still a few of us left who believe in hard work, determination, and guts. Guts, after all, is what brings us great things.
Set sail for San Diego and the 2016 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's the cattle industry's biggest convention with education, networking, and fun that can't be beat. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA Trade Show, and there will be a special event held on the historic USS Midway. It's the 2016 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, January 27th through 29th in San Diego. Visit beefusa.org for more.
Time-pressed consumers often find it difficult to plan ahead, and that limits their ability to include beef in their meals. Shanoa French from the Beef Culinary Center joins us now to demonstrate a quick solution for thawing beef. Shanoa, it always amazes me how many people don't know what they're going to eat 30 minutes before mealtime. And gosh, if you have a freezer full of frozen hamburger, that kind of limits including hamburger in the evening meal, doesn't it?
You're absolutely right. So we know the average consumer makes that dinner decision around 4:30. And we also know that ground beef is a great freezer staple. So it's something consumers buy when they're on sale and always keep it in the freezer. So we've done some work to make it so in 4 minutes or less, you can have recipe ready. So it's not going to be cooked. It's still going to be raw. You can put it in tacos. You can put it in meatballs and still follow your normal recipe that you want to include on your favorite family meal.
So that didn't have to sit in the refrigerator all day long while you're at work?
No, yeah, 24 hours. And we know that there's a couple different thawing methods. They talk about the refrigerator, they talk about cold water baths. So this is, and then they talk about the microwave. This is just instructions on how to use your microwave. So we don't have those brown corners and the pieces. We heard some consumers, they take them off and feed them to their dogs. So you get the whole pound to use in whatever recipe you want to use at home.
Well, show us how to do it.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you two separate things real quick. We have, it's been developed for two different methods. We know that some consumers like to buy in large bulk packaging whenever it's on sale. You can do this, but what we're going to recommend is that you use a quart Ziploc bag and make sure you use a freezer one. And you can put about a pound and a quarter, depending on how big your family is, and you press it really flat. So you see how thin that profile is? This helps the thawing process, and it also helps stack real nicely in your freezer. So there's this option. We know the average consumer buys the 1 pound version of this, and it goes directly into the freezer at home. So the method was designed to do either one. So you basically take your 1 pound package, And
we've
it
already
goes,
cheated a little bit
so,
with this one.
Yeah, this one has had the first minute, but we'll do 1 minute on there so we can keep talking. So this is the already packaged one. If you have, and I'm just going to do a quick minute button. So every consumer knows how to hit the minute. You don't have to change the power, nothing fancy. We're going to let this go. If you've frozen your tray over wrap, we need you to take it out of its paper and out of its plastic and out of some of the other things that are in there and put it in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. So the big freezer Ziploc bags that you would have. Put it in there and then put it on the plate in there.
Gotcha. But not defrost, 1 minute,
1 minute, regular. Full power. A lot of the microwaves now have an easy minute button. Or just type in the 1 minute and that's all you have to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this run for a minute. And then we're going to take it out and you would flip it over and then hit the minute button again. And then the most important trick to this is that you let it rest for a minute before you do anything else on that. So, and that kind of allows the heat to redistribute. Remembering we're not cooking in here, we're thawing. So we've got 9 seconds left, and the only kind of odd step that it'll say in there is it tells you to massage or to kind of break it up. So I'm going to show you that. Normally we would let this stop and let it sit in here for another minute, just kind of to calm down.
Then pull it out.
Yeah, but you're going to take it out and you just want to break it up. And it'll be hard like this. And that's good. But what you do is after those minutes, you're going to take it out, and as you see, it's still frozen. So that would be that minute. And then it'll come out just like thawed ground beef that you would have at home.
And you can put it in the skillet and you're ready to roll.
You can put it in the skillet, you can put it in a bowl, add breadcrumbs, make meatloaf, whatever, meatballs, or whatever you want to do.
So I understand you have a handy reference guide teaching folks how to thaw hamburger.
There is. So if you go to beefitswhatsfordinner.com, there's a thawing tab. There's this information plus great ground beef recipes. You also can find the video on the Beef YouTube channel.
Well, it's something that's so easy, but so many consumers don't recognize that it's that easy to take something that, like you say, is a staple and have it ready in 4 or 5 minutes, ready for an evening meal.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Of course, there's a lot more to know about beef in all of its forms. There are outstanding resources and recipes available on the website beefitswhatsfordinner.com, or you can always find video replays of our recipes on our website cattlemantocattleman.org. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this.
Overcoming adversity is part of the job, and loyalty isn't a word you just use, especially when everything is on the line. You've had good times and stood strong in leaner years. We've always been right there with you. Introducing the John Deere Livestock Loyalty Program. Special savings is our way of saying thanks for investing in John Deere.
This is yours, and so is what grows there. Not theirs or theirs, yours. You need this to fight this and this to grow more this. Because the more of this you feed them, the less this you spend on that, which leaves more of this here. Don't let them take this from you. Chaparral takes care of weeds and brush, and that's that.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Welcome back to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Ochsner. We've been showing you some of the ways the Culinary Innovation Team works to increase beef demand. This includes the development of new beef cuts from underutilized parts of the beef animal. The flat iron steak is an excellent example of one success that was developed as a result of Beef Checkoff funded research. Now, here's NCBA's Bridget Wasser with a demonstration of cutting techniques that can get additional value out of the chuck eye roll.
Now what I'm going to do is show you how to make 3 innovative beef cuts from the chuck eye roll. I'm going to again start on the back end or the rib end of this chuck eye roll to create my first new steak option. Again, we have the same muscles present in the back end of this chuck roll that we do in the front end of the rib roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 3 1-inch chuck eye, or they're sometimes also called Delmonico steaks, from the back end of this chuck eye roll. The reason that I can only cut 3 is that the muscles that are present in this back end of the chuck eye roll are just getting their start here anatomically. They are going to continue into the rib eye roll and get bigger as they go back and towards the back of the animal. And so I've only got about 3 inches of those muscles to work with. It kind of corresponds to where you see this natural tapering in the chuck eye roll. So I can cut 3 1-inch thick steaks, and then I'm going to run out of room and have to cut a new different beef item. So I've cut 3 1-inch steaks. Go ahead and put these on a platter. And these we call chuck eye steaks. As I mentioned, they're also can be called Delmonico steaks or new Delmonico steaks, particularly if they're being used for food service. They're great center of the plate items, look a lot like a ribeye steak, perform a lot like a ribeye steak, and they can be grilled or cooked with dry heat cookery. And we get 3 of those per chuck eye roll. Okay, those are the chuck eye steaks or Delmonico steaks. Now we can only cut 3 of those because we needed those key muscles to be present in those cuts. So the question becomes, well, what do we do with the rest of this chuck eye roll, the rest of this piece? How do we add value to that? One way that we can do that is by cutting the next 2 cuts that I want to show you. The next item we can cut from any portion of this chuck eye roll. We call these boneless country style ribs, and they're very simple to generate. All we do is continue cutting 1-inch thick steaks or portions. And then I lay those on the table, and then I just simply split them in half lengthwise. Doing that generates 2 boneless country style ribs. I'll continue demonstrating that. Cut a 1-inch thick steak or portion from the chuck eye roll after you've cut your chuck eye steaks. Lay that 1-inch portion on the table and split it in half lengthwise. From each 1-inch portion we get 2 boneless country style ribs. And I can continue cutting those really the entire length of this chuck eye roll. A 1-inch thick portion, split in half lengthwise. And these are our boneless country style ribs. They're a great new item, a great innovative way to use what's left of this chuck eye roll once your chuck eye steaks are removed. And these items are a great center of the plate item. They perform very well, but they do need to be braised or cooked in shallow liquid. And then you can apply different flavors to them and even finish those on the grill, but they do need to be braised first. So those are the boneless country style ribs. Now from the other portion or the remaining portion of this chuck eye roll, you also have the option of cutting a roast. We call it a chuck eye roast or even America's beef roast. And you can cut it from any portion that's desired of this whole chuck eye roll, and then you can portion it to any size that's desired. If you're trying to hit a particular weight, target weight, you can certainly portion those to the size that's desired. There's an example of a great little chuck eye roast or America's beef roast. You can make it larger or smaller as needed. You can also actually tie or net these and make them a really nice round shape, and then you could carve slices off of these. So they're pretty versatile, and they do work well with the dry rub and then right into the oven. So a good application for this America's beef roast.
Well, that's a look at how new cuts are developed here in the Culinary Center. The next step is coming up with a wonderful beef recipe. And joining us now is Chris Geigel with the Beef Culinary team. Chris, you've piqued my interest with beer, beef, cheese, and apples here. Tell me what you got going.
So this is one of the newer recipes we developed here. It's called our beef and kale queso fundido. It's basically a beer and cheese dip with a beefy twist.
Outstanding.
So I'll show you how to make that here.
Okay.
First I'm going to turn on my frying pan.
Sure.
So you start with a little beer, and who doesn't love that?
Okay.
We're using a craft beer here in Colorado. Beer's really big, so I picked a local craft beer, but you can use your favorite beer. So that's going to go into the frying pan.
All right. Yeah, there's lots of places you can find that here.
And then diced tomatoes with some diced chilies in it. I used a mild, but if you like it spicy, you can use the hot version.
Okay.
So that's going to go in here too.
Like a can of that?
1 can of that.
Sure.
I'm going to stir that up a little bit.
Okay. Are we trying to boil that, or how hot are we bringing that?
We're trying to bring it to a boil. So while that's working and heating up, I'm gonna have my bowl of cheese here. It's 2 cups of shredded Mexican blend cheese.
Sure.
You can use a low-fat version if you're looking to be a little healthier, but this is full fat here because we love our flavor.
That's right.
I'm gonna add a little cornstarch to that and toss that around. It helps keep the cheese separate. It also helps to thicken up your fundito.
Oh, I'll be darned. Okay.
So I'm gonna toss that around. So this isn't quite hot yet, so I'm going to set that aside.
Okay.
Also going into this is any leftover ground beef or beef that you have. So you can use pot roast.
Yep.
You can use ground beef. We have some steaks here that were left over from our dinner the other night. So you can take one of those and cut it up here.
Cut it up in small slices.
Little small pieces.
And you're going to put that in before the cheese typically?
We're going to put it in at the end, but since that's not hot yet, we're just going to chop it up now.
That's great. So just any, I mean, you're telling us that any beef item that you have in your refrigerator, I mean, you're not picky, it's just kind of...
Not picky.
Yeah.
So any beef item you have left over, you can use.
Yeah.
So this is starting to boil here, as you can see.
Sure.
Once it comes to a boil, we're going to add our cheese a little bit at a time.
All right.
So about ½ a cup at a time.
All right.
Add that, stir it in.
Let that melt, huh?
We want to let it melt. We don't want to add too much at one time and have a clump up on it.
Right, right. And how much cornstarch did you say you normally put in there?
It's a tablespoon to the 2 cups of cheese that we put in there.
No doubt.
Add a little more cheese now that that's melted.
Yeah. Thickening it up pretty good, huh?
Yeah, the cornstarch helps that, and you can see the cheese is starting to melt and get all stringy here.
So this is a recipe you all actually created here in the kitchen?
It is.
Yeah.
It was a trial of love.
Is that right?
A lot of iterations to get it to a point that was easy and turned out really well, but you know, that's kind of what we do here. All of our recipes are at least triple tested, so.
That's neat.
Gonna add the rest of that cheese in there.
Yeah, that's looking good now.
It's getting nice and thick.
Oh yeah.
And so once all the cheese melts and starts to bubble a little bit, we're gonna add whichever beef we choose. I'm gonna use the steaks and just chop that up.
If we got steak, let's use steak. That's my attitude.
So I'm just gonna pour this in here.
Okay.
And also, we're gonna add a little bit of chopped kale to this. It helps to add a really nice color, and it's also really good for you, so.
Well, tell me more about it. I mean, I hear about kale a lot. It's in lots of nutrition magazines.
Sure.
Why is that becoming so popular, Chris?
Kale's really popular because green leafy vegetables in general are super high in most nutrients that you need. So it just became the really big food right now because it's really good for you, and you can do it's very versatile.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to add all of this in, just a little bit here.
Gotcha.
I'm going to just turn down my heat a little bit.
Sure.
Stir that in.
Look at that. Boy, that's quick too.
That's quick, and that's done. You just want to make sure that you bring your beef up to temperature. So once it's kind of together and you add your steak, you want to cook it for about 3 to 5 minutes to make sure your leftover beef comes to at least 165 degrees.
Okay, gotcha. That does look nice with that, yeah.
A little color. You see the beef in there?
Sure.
So I'm just going to put some in the serving bowl here.
Sure. Look at that.
And there you have it. And you can serve it with your favorite things. If you want to be a little healthier, you can do carrots, celery, and apples. If you want to be a little more traditional, there's some pita and tortilla chips here.
Outstanding. And again, if people are looking this up on their website, they're looking for what?
The beef and kale queso fundido.
Very good. Thank you so much for all your good work and for bringing us this great recipe.
Our pleasure.
For this and other outstanding beef recipes, visit the website beefitswhatsfordinner.com. Or you can always find video replays in the recipe section of our website, cattlemantocattleman.org. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest on the 2015 dietary guidelines and what this could mean for the beef industry. And later, we'll have another visit from our good friend Baxter Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sure, cattle bring in the profits, but Case IH equipment helps you do everything else.
Well, I think a rancher has to be a steward of the land. There's nobody else that can take care of land better than the rancher can because he has to make his living off of it. When we switched over to the Purina products, it was a step in the right direction, and it's really been profitable for us. It just makes that much of a difference.
The difference we see in the cattle is the consistency of their nutrition. They don't go up and down drastically in weight. Every head on this ranch is fed the Purina Superlix 30. If we keep them on that feed, they stay in optimum condition year-round.
The cattle hold their condition a lot better. all throughout the whole year. The products they're producing are very much in line with what the rancher needs to be using to be profitable in the future. That's the best thing ever happened to us.
It does make a difference that we can see, day in and day out.
Sure, cattle bring in the profits, but Case IH equipment helps you do everything else.
And joining me now is Shailene McNeil, Executive Director of Human Nutrition Research for NCBA. Shailene, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we're hearing a lot about these 2015 dietary guidelines. Tell folks why that's so important for the beef industry.
The guidelines are so important to cattle producers because they form the basis of national nutrition policy. So we can think about it this way. If it's not in the guidelines, it's not going to be part of the school lunch program. The guidelines also influence what health professionals think. So I'm a dietitian or physicians, what they recommend as far as their nutrition recommendations comes from the dietary guidelines. And you know, believe it or not, they also impact the consumer too, because even though the consumer may not know they're following dietary guidelines, some of their attitudes about beef trickle down from the dietary guidelines. And that's why we have been so focused on providing nutrition research to this dietary guidelines to show the benefits that beef plays in a healthy diet as they're deliberating the 2015 dietary guidelines.
I know it's critically important and has been consuming a lot of your time, but what other projects are you working on?
Well, the Beef Checkoff Research Program is the only research program that focuses specifically on understanding the nutritional benefits of beef. So we've got all kinds of great research, not just research about the dietary guidelines, but also research that has shown that babies, for example, benefit from eating beef as a first food. Actually, research has shown that when babies incorporate beef into their diet, they grow better. So that's just one example of the really neat research that farmers and ranchers are funding through their Beef Checkoff program.
Speaking of diets, you know, I hear a lot about all kinds of diets out there, one being the paleo diet, and there are many others. Does beef fit into these sort of non-traditional diets?
Yes, and what I see as a registered dietitian is that consumers are confused about nutrition and they're experimenting with all kinds of things. And one of the things that they're discovering is diets like paleo or lower carbohydrate diets. They really have the benefit of building in more protein foods like beef, and that has a great advantage with regards to your appetite and how you feel. So I think that there's a lot of different diets that beef fits into, and certainly consumers are experimenting with those now.
So as a registered dietitian, you can still honestly say beef is an essential part of a good, healthy diet.
Oh, absolutely. Not only as a registered dietitian, but also as a mom. I see the benefits that beef's nutrition provides, not only in people's diets, especially our growing kids. The nutrients in beef, the iron, the zinc, the B vitamin, few foods offer that kind of nutrition in one delicious tasting food.
That's great. And tell me this, what's your favorite beef cut?
Oh my goodness. Well, I love all kinds of beef. When I'm eating out, I like to have a ribeye, believe it or not, because it's not quite a lean cut of beef.
Right.
At home, I'll tell you, sirloin is just a versatile cut that we love, and my house is never empty from ground beef, that's for sure. It's so versatile.
That's good to hear. Thank you so much. We're so glad to have dietitians like yourself being able to represent the beef industry.
Well, thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
To stay up to date on beef industry news and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, check out beefusa.org. You'll find news on both the Federation of State Beef Councils and the work of NCBA on Capitol Hill. Plus, link to NCBA programs like the blog, Beltway Beef, updates on the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, and the latest from NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Connect today at beefusa.org.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right. Whether it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots, when you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear at eroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real and feeding my family a home-cooked meal, that's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
Hello, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Each week, we travel the country to bring you the latest cattle industry news and information. Check us out at cattlemantocattleman.org or on Facebook and Twitter.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, long hauls, never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
If you're not using IMI Global's verification programs, you might as well set your money on fire. To give your wieners added value, no program begins without a traceable animal. Then add on BQA and other specialties and you open up a whole new market for your calves. You might be thinking, the market's so good, why bother? You ever heard of making hay when the sun shines? You got a choice. Get in the game or visit IMIGlobal.com. I don't care if you have a peanut farm in Alabama, a soybean farm in Iowa, a feedlot in Colorado, a vineyard in California, or a dude ranch in old Montana. I can pretty well bet there's a pickup or two involved in the operation. These trucks often get passed down. The owner drives it new, then the farm manager gets it, next the bunk rider, next the irrigator, and finally it winds up in the sheep camp. Me, I got an F-250 390 3/4 ton 4-speed with split rims, and it's got a B&W turnover ball. I like a pickup that looks like a truck, not like a tropical fish, or a 2-ton poodle with running lights, or a mutant frog on a leash. Give me one tough as a cast iron skillet with a bumper that's extra large and a hood that weighs over 85 pounds. It looks like the prow on a barge. I like style, but since when should a truck be touted for comfort and ride? Power windows on pickups remind me of jeans with a zipper that zips up the side. They should soak up the dents of everyday life like a boxer losing his teeth. And I like a truck, when you lift up the hood, by gosh, you can see the ground underneath. Pickups are kind of like welding gloves. Pock marks are part of the deal. Not pretty, just built to get the job done. Like the dummy behind the wheel. Don't get me wrong, I know beauty's skin deep and ugly is in the eye. But to find out if your truck is my kind of truck, here's a test that you can apply. If you have a small wreck in the parking lot, by backing a little too far, your only worry is how big a mess you made of the other guy's car. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. We appreciate you sharing your wit and wisdom with us each and every week. Now, if you'd like to learn more about what's happening with NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, you can find us on Facebook. Be sure to like our page and we'll keep you updated with photos, details on upcoming shows, and much, much more. And it's a great way to connect with other cattlemen and women across the country. So check us out on Facebook. Don't go away. We'll have more right after this.
Some call it a come from behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune. The feeling of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment.
Are you going to do this every time we treat a calf with Zuprevo?
Absolutely.
Well, all right then.
Don't let BRD interfere with his performance. Treat him with Zuprevo and get him back to his home pen. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
I'm an NCBA member because NCBA, they look at the facts, they look at the history, and they look what's good for the industry.
It's important to be NCBA members just because of what NCBA does. They keep us informed about a lot of things that are going on nationwide.
The reason we're an NCBA member is we think that it's the best voice that the cattle people have.
Join NCBA today. Head to beefusa.org or call 866-USA-BEEF.
So many classic tractors of all kinds filled the fairgrounds in Gray, Tennessee, there was no way to see them all. But we selected some of the highlights and jam-packed them into a DVD that runs more than 104 minutes. So if you like Red Power, if you like tractor parades, and if you enjoy hearing the stories of classic tractors and the owners who are preserving them, then you need to check out this fun, fast-paced DVD celebrating the 21st Annual Appalachian Antique Farm Show. Many of the stories on this DVD will never be seen on TV, so why not order your very own copy today? It's easy, and it's the fastest way to add dozens of beautiful classic farm tractors to your collection. Give us a call toll-free at 1-800-888-8979 or visit our website at classictractors.com. Don't forget you can find us on Facebook too, so call now, and thanks for catching Classic Tractor Fever.
Welcome back. We've been learning today about the work of the professionals here in the Beef Culinary Center. One of the valuable results of the work done here is the recipe outreach and education that appears on the Beef It's What's for Dinner website and the YouTube page. We learned more about that as Sharon Alseth reports.
A valuable resource for consumers is the Beef It's What's for Dinner website. The website offers more than just recipes. It also features advice on how to purchase beef, cooking tips, and facts about nutrition. Whether looking for information or inspiration, the website has become a key point of contact with consumers who want to learn more about beef.
We know that consumers are coming to beefitswhatsfordinner.com as their go-to resource for beef.
So this was really a great opportunity for us to get a lot of information out in a short amount of time to a very, very wide audience. And our mission is to really show consumers how easy it is to cook beef and make healthy, nutritious meals for your family.
The Beef It's What's for Dinner brand has now also been extended to other online resources. There's a Facebook page, there's a Twitter feed, and consumers can view dozens of how-to videos on the Beef It's What's for Dinner YouTube page.
This is where we can turn them on to all the tips that we have in cooking and all the great recipe information and continue to link them back to beefitswhatsfordinner.com and with these how-to videos.
I travel all over the country speaking in front of consumer groups, chef groups, and they're really, really wanting this kind of information. We've gotten great reaction. You know, a lot of bloggers have picked up and used our information, which is really a cost-effective way to get the beef message out there.
Right, not all consumers are looking through recipe books anymore. Some are going online, using social media to access beef nutrition information. I know for me, I want it on demand, and I can use social media as a way to get great cooking information. So in this case, this project really puts beef right out there with the social media and the website and connects them to that consumer right when they're ready to cook our product.
The work done at the Beef Culinary Center is the starting point, but with the reach of the World Wide Web, the work done here can now extend to consumers in every corner of the world, enabling them to choose beef more easily and more often. From the Beef Culinary Center, I'm Sharon Alseth reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
It's time now for this week's Legacy Photos, submitted by ranching families from around the country. Let's have a look. Now don't forget, you can send us your pictures of your farm or ranch by visiting our website, cattlemantocattleman.org. Be sure to include your ranch or farm name and your hometown, and we may use them on a future episode. Well, that's our time for this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Thanks to our friends here in the Beef Culinary Center for hosting us and for the great work they do every day. And thank you for watching NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.